And we are live. So let's kick things off. We'll start with the bottom right. Mark, tell us about yourself.
I'm Mark Bowden. I'm an expert in human behavior and body language. I help people all over the world to stand out, win trust, gain credibility every time they speak, including some of the leaders of the G7.
Up to Greg Hartley, who has a mute button. We'll go down to Chase while Greg figures out technical.
Can't hear you yet, Greg. Hey, I'm Chase Hughes. I'm a behavior expert. I'm #1 best-selling author of a book on persuasion, influence, and behavior profiling. I train the government and the public in how to persuade people. And I've even trained some of the leaders of the G14 classified countries.
Okay. Greg, you on there? Not yet. Scott.
I'm Scott Rouse, and I'm a body language expert and analyst, and I train law enforcement, military, and interrogation and body language, and sometimes members of the G19.
Yeah.
Greg? Train Greg on technical.
I don't know how we lost you.
Yeah, we had you. We lost you.
Oh, you're mute.
Yeah, it says mute.
It shows mute on your screen.
Kicking ass, fellas.
Right. Well, we're starting out. First thing I want to do is I have a new member, Samantha Schofield. Thank you very much.
Keep trying, Greg.
Everybody who's a member, that's awesome.
Unplug the mic.
And before we get started, I really want to congratulate you guys. 100,000 subscribers, which is pretty freaking remarkable. I crossed 100,000 views today, and I'm stoked. You have 100,000 subscribers.
Well, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Except we don't have 100% of our
thank you as well. But
yeah.
Greg,
Greg,
on mute on the system.
Come back in again, Greg.
Greg, you're on mute
in.
on the screen. You're muted on screen.
Your mic isn't connected.
We can't hear you, Greg.
It flat out says that I can't unmute you because your mic is disconnected. So try leaving and coming back in.
Yeah, leave and come back in, Greg. Let's see if that works.
There he goes.
God, I thought he'd never leave.
There you go. Thought he'd never go.
We're back to the square.
Can't get rid of him.
All right. All right. So the camaraderie is here. And I can tell you already, people are going to want to talk about the debate.
Of course they are.
So,
of course they are.
From the jump, what did you guys think overall? I'll start with Scott.
It was like just like 8th graders fighting in a slap fight, and nobody was really stopping it. There was just some other kid yelling, "Stop it! Stop it!" right in the middle of it. It was really, really unprofessional, I think, all the way around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chase.
Unpresidential on both sides. And we saw a repetitive use of memorized, scripted, and surgically calculated techniques to put the other opponent or put the opponent off balance. And we saw a moderator who didn't do much moderating at all. And we talked about that on our newest episode, which will probably come out tomorrow.
No, it'll be out tonight. As soon as we get off here, I'm uploading it. So get ready, Mark.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay.
Who are you?
Okay, who are you?
This mic is a pain. I think I'm going to do a commercial against it. It does it to me occasionally, just dumps me.
So who are you?
Yeah, I'm Greg Hartley. I'm a former Army interrogator, interrogation instructor, resistance to interrogation instructor. I've written a bunch of books on body language and behavior. And today I spend my time on Wall Street and in corporate America.
Oh, right. And what did you think of the debate last night overall?
Dumpster fire. Yeah, I mean, I have not seen many things that I would be embarrassed to be part of. And I've been in a lot of things in my life, but I would have been embarrassed to be part of that production. It's a shame it went that way. I think there was a methodical process that Joe Biden went through to be prepared, and he thought he was ready for a fight. He might have been ready for a fight, but he wasn't ready for that fight. And I think it cascaded. I always say Trump's always ready for a fight. Trump started to surgically take the left away from him. And then he showed he showed them exactly what he thought when he went, "Don't use the word smart with me." And that put Biden on his heels and in fight or flight, and it cascaded out of control from there. That's what I saw.
Mark.
Yeah,
help
I love
prepare
it.
people.
I loved it. I love a good argument, and that's what I got. It was wholly argumentative. It was too long. They always are. They're too long. I was pretty much exhausted after about an hour.
Oh yeah.
Watching it, it's like I don't think I have any notes on the last section of it because I was like, I'm out now. I can't.
Lots of material. We got lots of material.
So much material in it. It was great. Yeah, I mean, my main takeaway from it is that it was set up badly in terms of its physical structuring for the moderator to stand any chance of being able to control those two. And were I be able to lobby for changes, which is what, in my experience of working debates like that, you on behalf of your team, you lobby the broadcaster and you say, here's what I want for my client. Were I able to lobby, I would be lobbying for a more controlled, an environment that's easier for the moderator to control those two, especially if I was not on Trump's team. If I was on the opposing team, I'd want that guy.
Right.
I would create an environment that would shut him down.
That is the question. They're actually talking about giving the moderator the ability to mute the microphone. And obviously a lot of people like that, but isn't that problematic in its own way?
Yes.
You're now shutting down, because a lot of people could say that, boom, if something can be said, and then you mute the microphone and it's hanging out there.
Yeah,
and nobody's allowed to defend.
You lay yourself open to conspiracy theorists going, oh, they were shutting down the mic. The mic has a certain algorithm and it won't let certain words out, and all kinds of stuff.
It's a trust issue.
It's like when the guy's dying on his deathbed and he says to his son, "The gold is in the same vibe."
I think they should have a little light bulb that lights up on the podium when that person should be speaking. And for every time you speak when your light bulb is not on, you lose a point. And it could be like the Drew Carey show. I forgot the name of it. The improv show where the points don't matter, but there's still points in the end. And the media are going to jump all over the points.
Well, the media jumps points now, even if there are none. So it's just,
right. You do electrodes on the nipples and the car battery, and every time they go over.
Wait! I thought you were not an interrogator, Mark.
I thought you'd love that one, Greg. That was
who are you?
I had you in mind.
Who are you? Who are you, Bowden?
You guys
He
snuck
works
in
for the
and
G26.
you mentioned preparation and precision in this, and I did want to ask you, a couple of things. Like, one, I did find it curious that Biden was continuously talking to the camera, and I feel like he was coached to focus on that camera. And maybe I'm wrong, but at points did it come across as insincere or terror? Like, I'm not looking at this person who's yelling at me because he's really bothering me. Was it posturing or was it strategic?
From my angle, he's the evangelist. That's, he's talking to the people.
That's the best way to put it, I think.
Yeah, it's not. Here would be my coaching on it. Is it's not a debate. There aren't two people in the room. You're not changing the other person's mind. So it's a nonsense that you say it's a debate and you even pay any attention to that other person. The only people to pay attention to is the swing vote down the lens. That's the only thing. And if you get a good comment down the lens that will get played again and again and again and again and again, you've won it. So you forget about anybody else in the room. It's for the audience down the lens.
I think that we saw a lot of rehearsed stuff there, a lot of coaching. But one thing you'll see, especially with Biden, is this eye blocking behavior where he closes his eyes while he's talking. Trump does it too in the debate, where they're really proud of something, but they want to be humble about it. Like when your neighbor gets a full electric solar panel system for his whole house installed, and you're like, oh, hey, I noticed you got that new solar system. And they're like, they talk with their eyes closed. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, it's good for the environment, and it's not a big deal.
Not my neighbors.
It's like South Park. Have you seen the South Park with the guy who has a Prius? I got a
Oh,
Prius
yeah.
because I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just doing my part. It's not a big deal. But we see the eye blocking on both sides when somebody's got a really good message about themselves.
Yeah, it was just, for me, it was, if you had just said, instead of pretending that they're going to have the opportunity to talk, if you just let them ramble at each other and go at each other, it would have been the same effect. That was,
Yeah.
Well, I want them all to be on Joe Rogan. I mean, I'm sorry. I would love that. Somebody did ask this in the comments. Did you guys see that? Who was he talking to when he was saying what? Because he wasn't looking at the moderator. He wasn't looking at Trump, because Biden didn't seem to look at Trump at all, hardly.
No, there's very little eye contact, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories come out of that kind of thing, right? Now, I'm not saying whether there was an earpiece or not my issue, but certainly when a person does that kind of thing, then you start looking for reasons. And when they go slack-faced, when they're looking, you certainly, Scott, I mean, you've worked with people lots in that kind of thing. When they go slack-faced, that's usually a sign of listening. So, of course, people are going to fill in the blanks. When something's odd behavior, they're going to fill in the blanks. Is there evidence? Don't know. Haven't seen the evidence. But there, been a lot of people come out and say absolutely there was nothing, and then other people will come out and say yes, there was. You're going to get a lot of conspiracy around this. I always say, at the end of the day, in this debate, you probably don't care. The people who are voting probably don't care one way or the other whether he had an earpiece or not, because they're voting on ideas that are dramatically different. So it's where we're at today.
Okay, and what was it? Yeah. Most people aren't.
Probably.
Yeah.
Somebody mentioned this. I guess that's true. Biden ignored Trump's fire, keeping his head down often. That's one thing. I don't know if they rested him up really well or what, but Biden, he held up a lot better than I expected.
Yeah. Well, he went the distance. He did get in fight or flight.
I think by the time he got to about certainly the last round, I think he was very tired. Round before that, certainly tired. Trump's got a lot of energy. I was pretty impressed by how he kept on going. Yeah, Biden tired as far as I was concerned.
I think Trump was having fun, or maybe I'm reading that wrong.
I think he got frustrated.
He actually enjoys it.
I think he got frustrated once in there, and you can see the body language. We'll talk about it on our thing as we pull up videos. But for me, I think he got frustrated once or twice. But he's a master of putting people on their heels. I mean, he did it for a generation in the business world. If you've ever worked in the construction business, he's the last guy you want to go to negotiate with, because he's really good at that.
Okay, well, overall, strategic-wise, do you think it was possibly effective? And I'm previous guest of the show, Robert Barnes, who's an attorney, is claiming somewhere that I listened to him, that essentially Trump won the debate in his mind, because while everybody says a dumpster fire, they couldn't stand him, that's not really who he's going for. He's trying to get the blue collar base up in arms, and they actually enjoy the hectoring.
Well, when I say dumpster fire, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about the entire event, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not attacking Trump. The whole thing is nothing to be proud of, is my point.
Yeah, I don't know enough about what the swing vote is here, who needs to be activated in this election to know whether somebody would have won this or not, because what I want to know is, what did each one need to achieve in terms of their numbers? Can we look at the numbers? Like, I've worked elections where we can look at the numbers within an hour of the debate finishing, and we know whether we did the job right or not. So, we can make kind of judgment calls on, I didn't like this or I didn't like that, but ultimately you need the data to know whether this did what it was meant to do for each of the candidates.
Well, I would imagine he had an objective. If it's slice off Bernie voters, something like that, that would be an objective that he would be after, and try to go hard left, take the hard left off. And I'm sure that Biden was doing the same thing, trying to take centrist off him. And I'm sure they both were after that. But it didn't seem like it with either of them. It seemed like they were going at their base.
Well, Trump went after that left side when he made that comment about taking over or going after big pharma and bringing in prescription drugs, or giving governors, the right to go to other countries and bring in some prescription drugs there. I think that was very calculated.
He also tried to get Biden to deny a couple of things that he had promised Bernie. the thing around healthcare and around the mandate. He was trying to get him to say, "I'm not doing that," because then you lose Bernie voters. And
Right.
And he did get him to do it. He got him to say that. He got him to say Bernie was a loser. Remember that? He's like, I am the Democrat. So I'm wondering if some of that, it's hard to see in the noise, but that was pointed out by Barnes too. He got it essentially got him to say Bernie's a loser. He disavowed Medicare for all. He disavowed, so every Bernie plank, like 3 of them, he got Biden to essentially disavow Bernie completely, which will piss off a lot of the Bernie support.
but I think
home.
I say this all the time. I have friends call and say, "Hey, who do you think I should vote for?" And I'll say, "Are you crazy? Why would you call a guy who influences people and persuades them to do things he wants them to do?
There's a guy named Jeremy in the comments who just had a great question, I think, for all of us.
Okay, here we go. This one?
Nope. Same guy, different comment.
I know there's a lot of comments, dude.
Did he ask if we're getting paid?"
Maria is asking, why is Mark not looking in the direction of the camera? I think his screen's off to his left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a screen off to this side. So I got a camera down here, okay, which
Right.
is over like a third of my monitor. And then these guys are all over here on the monitor. Now I could make it a little bit better.
Yeah, keep in mind, we're talking to the guy that trains
There we go.
Zoom.
There's
How to
Mark
have
the
Zoom.
evangelist here. When
He's got a
talking about
teleprompter. He's being fed answers.
There we go. That's but you know what? I'm kind of here. I spend all my day doing this and trying to look down that lens. And now I'm like, I've put on a t-shirt. I'm just watching the other guys. I'm relaxing. But yeah, I could do better. I could look down the lens more at you. There you go.
This is only the second time I've ever seen you in a t-shirt, and I don't know
Me
if I
too.
like this or not. I don't feel comfortable.
Third time.
We feel uncomfortable because we're always used to you being.
You're what?
I like seeing him in the t-shirt.
See this?
It's definitely good.
This used to be your flag.
Yeah, and then we got better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We made our own because we're rebels.
There you go. All right. I hope this is the right Jeremy question. I think it's a good one, though. If you guys were coaching both of them for the next debate, what tips would you give each?
Let's go with Scott. What would you say first?
Yeah, good.
I would say for Biden to get rid of those pins. No, I'm just kidding. What I think you would tell him to pay attention to what the other one's saying, so you can have a real answer and you can have a real question. Wait, and try not to be such a and I'm talking about both sides. Try not, just shut up and answer the questions, and give feed your, give the answers, feed your thoughts. That's what people are waiting for and waiting to hear, is what you're thinking and how you think things are going to go. That's what I think. I know Mark's got like a 14-minute diatribe on
All right.
that.
Hold on. Mark will be last.
Yeah. Thank God I didn't go first on that one. But yeah, it's simple. Just answer the questions and let's hear what the next guy says.
Chase.
So I would say it's okay to step away from the podium, number one. Number two, you've got to pay more attention to that camera and Chris Wallace than the floor. Trump spent a lot of time looking at the floor or who knows what off camera. There's some lady holding a cat or something off stage. But third, presidential behavior means composure. I would say composure is the number one ingredient, according to Chase Hughes, of what we would view as a presidential candidate. If somebody's interrupting you or someone is being rude, wait your turn and then address it during your turn as a president would, and be respectful to another person as a president would. We're looking for people who want to set an example for our kids on how to behave and how to act. So do that. Composure, respect, and cadence. Have that nice, confident cadence. But when it's your turn,
Well, you like
the other
authority.
person look like an idiot. That's okay. I'll pass
You
it
believe in
over to
authority,
Greg.
right?
Yeah, so for me, the same kind of thing. The most powerful thing on earth is silence. If you're an idiot and you're rambling and you're ranting at me and I stop and I look at you and I go, Chase, I'm sorry you're upset. What can I do to make you feel better? After about 30 seconds, it's a public display of stupidity is all it is. And that's how you control somebody who's ranting at you. It always works. Never had a time it didn't. So if I were in the position where I feel like the guy's ranting at me, I would do that. If I'm in a position I feel like I'm being wronged, I would point it out with numbers, facts. We all do that in our interrogation world. Bump, 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 bump. Point out where somebody's at. So those are two very different things. If I were Biden, I would stop chuckling like a woodchuck that he does through the thing. And I know it's a defense mechanism for him. Somebody should get to him and say, stop doing that. If I were advising Trump, there are two things I would tell him. Stop being so boisterous because you come across as a bully. And the best thing, I'd say this always, I'm not attacking either of them as candidates, saying you shouldn't vote for either of them, but the best thing Trump could get for Christmas is broken thumbs because Twitter's not his friend. And
he has a hard time with self-control.
Well, his daughter said the same thing. You know, he is a force of nature. He does his own thing. And I'm not attacking him personally. I'm just saying people don't like that. And so you lose the opportunity to pick up some people. And Biden loses the opportunity to pick up people, too, with that chuckling and all that stuff he does. So they both have some weird body language things going on. And I think Trump, of all people, should know that stoic, slow-moving is perceived as authoritarian. It just is. The less you move, the more powerful you appear.
Mark.
Yeah. So I would tell Biden to go into symmetry, be in symmetry as much of the time. He is unstable when he's asymmetric. All the times that I saw him trying to do a set piece that he rehearsed and Trump would get him off balance would be when he was asymmetrical. He'd hold it for longer when he was symmetrical. I would say to Trump, just look down the camera. He was too involved in having an argument and he didn't really contact the audience directly. And so I think we were voyeurs, we were observers of Trump, but he never spoke to us. And so he missed an opportunity there of really looking. I mean, he does that a lot. He's very easy, I think, to get engaged in an argument with and get him away from what his objective should be, which is to deliver his message directly to the person at home. Because they're sitting there in their home going, talk to me. And he never really did talk to the audience. He had arguments with everybody. So a bit of a failure there on his part. Biden, who had got quite good at that, was easily knocked off, and he could just be more stable and do that more directly.
Okay, that brings another question, and I'm going to tag on it too. Do you believe Wallace was truly neutral or favored one side more than the other? And I would also say, what would you have him do next time? Because I think Wallace could stand some improvement too, maybe.
I don't think he's going to have it next time after that.
Yeah,
I really don't. Yeah, I think that was it for him because he really handled that poorly all the way around.
Yeah, I would say Wallace has already publicly said that he leans a little to the left. But as far as what he could do for his personal authority, I would leave that to Mark. Mark had a brilliant insight on this on the video that we just recorded a couple hours ago about that.
So first of all, shout out to Gav who put that question in.
Yeah, thanks, Gav.
So, good to see you here. So I think ultimately what needs to happen is that he has no authority, and it's because the environment doesn't give him any authority. I think Greg was very perceptive as well today in an earlier conversation that we were having, which will be on our YouTube, which is just the media, that the anchor has no authority. Eric, you probably have more authority than that's the reality.
You can turn off our mic.
Well, it depends on which live stream, if we're being honest.
Yeah, so the media, the traditional media doesn't have the authority anymore. They'd set up this guy who doesn't have any authority more in a subjugative situation. They had height dominance over him. They need to be, if I were lobbying for this, I would get them sat down around a table. I would nail their feet to the ground. I would have him standing without a lectern or a podium so he can move, the moderator can move more. And that way he'd be able to control the situation better. The environment was badly set up for this.
Okay, and got a super chat from Jamie Beaumont. Thank you. What does the next moderator specifically have to do more or less of?
That was it.
Yeah, well, I would add he's a little accusatory in his style. when he starts off, he kind of picks a little bit of a fight before he asks a question. Just ask a question. You don't need to frame it. The guy already knows what you're going to say. For example, he starts off with Trump and he says, you have been in office for 4 years. You've taken apart Obamacare. And, well, why don't you say, what's your health care plan and why don't you share it? You don't start off in that rock throwing contest and he did the same with Biden. I'll give him credit. He did both, but he's accusatory in his style. I think that could have saved him a lot of headaches. He wouldn't have gotten that back and forth with Trump, for example.
You know, that was one of those kind of super questions that came in, and somebody seems to have paid like £4.99 for that. And so I just hope they're not part of the Biden or Trump team.
Jamie.
If they are, Jamie, if you're part of the Biden or Trump, that was really inexpensive advice that you just got there for the team. That would have cost,
thank you.
You know,
thanks,
£5.
Jamie.
You know, but that cost you £4.99. That was amazing.
Jamie, listen to me. Eric thanks you.
Eric thanks you very much.
For sure.
Eric definitely needs all the help. And we have from Samantha, who was a member. I don't know much about American politics, but Biden seemed like he was attempting a semblance of order. And I thought he was quite dignified, to be honest.
That's his sell point, right? Is he's been in this his entire life. And think about Trump came in with one sell point. I'm here to drain the swamp. So that's his whole point, is I have been here for 47 years. I am dignified. I am presidential. That's his sell point. That's the big smile, the right suit. Mark can talk to this more, but the right suit, the right hair, all that stuff. That's his sell point. So of course he's going to try to be more dignified. And Trump is a brawler, a New York brawler. And you heard him forget about it kind of attitude. Even blew him off with his hand, like, go away. It's just a different style.
I mean, I think, you know, Biden in comparison was maybe more stately, but still he was the statesperson that got pulled into the bar fight and was there saying, you know, shut up, you idiot, you clown.
Right. Were you racist?
I mean,
his actual terms were probably worse than Trump's. Trump hectored more, but Biden actually said more biting remarks. I've never heard anyone call another candidate a racist directly like that.
Sure. I mean,
or clown.
Or clown.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, that's what, you know, many people might be thinking, but it doesn't mean that you want to, as the politician, call that one out.
I think the one he shouldn't have done was tell him to shut up.
Yeah, shush,
man, shut up,
shut up.
Man, that was.
Well, that was evident to me. His thinking brain was off, and his reacting brain was starting to function.
Well, that was something that Barnes was saying earlier too, though, is that Trump was hectoring him and goading him to get him to say that type of thing, because then it knocks him off to where he doesn't look like the stable, steady person necessarily. That he can get just as nasty like Trump, because Trump already knows everybody thinks he's nasty. So maybe he was dragging Biden into the mud with him a little.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Yeah, it
was always ready for a fight. It's how he's wired, and it's how he's gotten to where he's at. It's what he does for a living.
So what would you recommend for Biden if Trump's doing that? I mean, do you actually see Trump doing that again next round? Or can you see him changing up?
He's going to change.
Yeah, he's a closer. Remember, he's going to get you off balance, make you over-prepare. Remember, at this point, I think, was it first that Hillary soundly defeated Trump? If you remember, everybody thought, oh, yeah, great job by Hillary. And then the next time he came back in and he shifted gears. And he's a negotiator and he's a strategist and he's thinking forward.
All right.
Like him or not, he's got some strengths. Whatever you think of him, he has strengths that work for his style and what he does. And that's his thing.
Well, Mark, are there any other world leaders that you've seen or worked with that are in that same line? Like maybe a Boris Johnson. What is he like in comparison to Trump?
Boris has some similarities to Trump in that Boris is an incredible entertainer. I mean, just wonderful to be around, can tell incredible stories, has this brilliant kind of bumbling character to him. I've seen him do his keynote where what he does in his keynote, I mean, it's before he's prime minister, is he comes into the event late. And he does this whole act of where am I? What event is this? And so you see this person who clearly doesn't know what's going on at all. And he scribbles a few kind of notes, and he comes up with this bumbling piece of paper, and bumbles around for a bit, and then delivers an incredible set speech. It's just, basically you just go, this guy is an idiot, and then you go, God, he's really quite smart.
That's Columbo.
Good understand. He started off really the general public knowing him from being the bumbling editor of The Spectator, who would be on a comedy show called Have I Got News for You, and he was the butt of the joke every time. And so, but this same guy had always said he was always being set up to be prime minister. He was head of Cambridge debating, president of the Debating Society, and already on that trajectory. So brilliant entertainer who everybody looked at and went, you know what a bumbling clown. But he's now prime minister. Are there some similarities? I think there are.
That's right. Oh, by the way, that you brought up Columbo. I have an announcement. I meant to say it earlier. I found out today that you can stream Columbo for free on Amazon Prime Video.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yes. And it's
How about the box DVD set?
I have a DVD player. Oh yeah, you probably got something else.
My kids have an Xbox.
Oh yeah.
Stick it in there.
Send it back.
I've got that Echo, that big Echo 2 thing. It's a screen. The Alexa.
You know what?
I can't say it loud.
When I get my next check
It's
from
on there.
Soros or the McCanns, I may go buy one though.
You got to get you one of those.
Or
Man.
the
He
Koch
sent me
brothers.
one.
I thought you got it
Yeah.
from Koch brothers.
Yeah, no, you're on payroll. Go read the comments. We're on payroll for the McCanns, Soros, Trump, Biden,
And Satan.
Satan. Yes.
Hang on. Let me address this, please, just for a second. Let's get this straight. Who's doing what?
Yeah.
Greg is a Nazi. Mark is a devil worshiper, and then me and Chase are on the payroll. I'm on Soros, and I think the McCanns are the one that's paying Chase.
McCann's, yes.
Well, and Scott, you lead your own tribe of.
Yes, I do.
Scott has the best nickname of all. So I think that's going to be our Halloween costumes when we do our thing. Is we'll put that as our names across the bottom: Nazi, Satan worshiper, Soros supporter.
And then mine.
Yeah, that's a rough.
That was bad.
You definitely should. And to close out the debates speak, I'm going to bring up one more Barnes thing that I thought was interesting. He said that he has a methodology for when he's betting. And I'm bringing him up because he's a guy who won over $500,000 on Trump in 2016. And he said the way he judges candidates is he looks at them and he determines who would people feel more comfortable asking to lie for them. I've never heard it, said before.
And so is the guy who lies that you feel more comfortable with, that's the winner?
Right. The person that you went to and you say, I need you to cover my butt.
I got you.
Who is going to be a more convincing liar for me to another nation, to whatever, is the person that he would pick as a winner. So I'm just curious, overall, just a narrow, it's not a judgment. Which one would you think is the better liar?
Well, that making that selection is the same as I did in high school when we picked somebody to go buy alcohol.
Yeah. There you go. Exactly. So who would you?
Who's going to buy the beer?
So who's going to buy the beer, Chase?
Granted, that's illegal. I'll make a disclaimer. Shouldn't be done.
Actually, Chase, I'm going to assume you never got picked because you must have looked like 6.
He looks like he's 11 now.
You look like he's 11 right now.
I moisturize, Mark.
Chase, when you get my age, Cougars are still going to be hitting on you, man. Mark my words. I think I'd pick Trump. I'd pick Trump because he'd be like this. I'd say, listen, man, you got to go tell those dang Canadians. I got a buddy over there at that so-and-so and so-and-so. And he'd go, I got you, boo.
Well, he definitely has more street. There's a lot more street to him than there is to Biden. You look at Biden, and Biden's been in this business since he was 20 something. I think he's the second youngest senator ever. So he's been in this since he was in his 20s. So he's been in that polished got to do the right thing, behave the right way. And, we've all seen video of Trump, dancing at Mar-a-Lago and that kind of stuff. So it's a polished versus a street kind of guy. And if you're thinking that way, you'd think you'd go with a street guy.
There's some research actually suggests, I think it's Kierkegaard in 96, 97, 98, one of those years, the most popular kid in every high school that they studied, I think it was over 100, was also rated as the best liar. And there's this is well known. I think it's very Googleable, but this charisma and likability was directly correlated to somebody's ability to lie to other people.
Or their ability to
believe. Psychopaths are good liars.
Like, you've got to be able to lie. If you can't lie, you're never going to get on with people. If you can't tell the truth, it's
social lubricant.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to hear the truth. Not really the truth.
So, Mark, who's going to buy your booze?
No, we lived in England. Like,
you're poor and you got money.
I think when you're in England, it's like 4.5.
In pubs when we were 12, there was nowhere else to go. And you would get served. You would honestly get served. There was never a problem. You would absolutely get served. Not a problem.
All right. I can dance out of that one. So eloquent. All right. So moving on to another one. This is a question from Mark. Coming from, this is Ellis Fraser. Fraser. Question for Mark. Coming from a theatrical background, do you feel it benefit actors to learn basic body language in order to deliver a naturalistic performance?
Yeah. So having trained, spent years training other actors, I'm not sure whether it depends what you mean by basic body language. I think the most important thing for performers to learn is to extend their vocabulary. We tend to be set in our vocabulary because we are who we are. We grew up where we grew up. We've mirrored our primary caregivers, and we end up with a set with some patterns. And therefore, if somebody comes to you and goes, will you perform this other character, this other person, which is character is just a set of choices under circumstance. Well, your body will only do what you would do, not what that character would do. So one important thing is for you to practice or work on performing behaviors that you wouldn't normally do, so that you've got a bigger range of behaviors. That's my answer.
What do you guys
think? There were more than 2 people on Earth with that same name, Eric.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had to share the comment with Chase. Scott, you've been in the theatrical realm, or at least in the music industry. Mm-hmm. Do you think body language would do you well?
I think Chase is very handsome. I'll say that.
We all think Chase is handsome.
I don't get to see these come in live ever, so you get to see my face turn red or whatever color the hell it is.
Yeah.
Ours too.
It's great. Thanks, Scott. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Hey, man, I got you, boo. Yeah, I think it's important because when in the music business, you have to. One of the reasons that people liked hanging out with me is because I could go watch them or help them as they made their deals with a record company. Because we would, for example, if you're doing a group that's similar to other groups, sometimes what a record company would do was they would sign the other groups that were similar to it. And they would say, we're going to do a record and they'd spend all this time with them and money, but they wouldn't put their album out until that fad was almost over, until it was starting to go down, because they didn't want the competition for the group they already had. So I could go in and watch these meetings and say, these people want to help you, and these people don't want to help you. And so there were a couple of acts that I worked with that we really scored well because we figured that my skill set in that was what could help us with that. So it's very like acting or like anything else in business. And a lot of times I get asked to, or I get hired to go into a business situation and pretend like I work with this company and just watch them talk. I don't have to say anything, or I'll have questions for them to ask, but I'll have my hand on the table. And if I go one finger up like that, then they'll know, or I'll go like that. They'll know this means this question. If I go like that, it means another question. So I think it's really important to be able to use that skill as you're pitching your act and to see what's going on the other side of the table, most importantly.
Eric, there's a great question from somebody named Ali C. 1970.
I've got it queued up.
Oh,
Got it queued up already.
good deal.
Question for the panel. If someone was abused to the point where they have come to the point they question themselves, how does that play into being able to read their behavior?
Well, everybody has a baseline, and whether you're questioning yourself or not, you have to start from that baseline. You have to get enough data about the person to figure out what's changing. Remember, if all you do is read absolutes, then everybody's going to jail, because everybody scratches their nose when you ask them a question, is guilty if you think absolutes. But if you talk to a person who is timid and who is closed and who is second guessing themselves, and suddenly they come out of that, or suddenly they get worse, it means something. That's what we all do, is we try to put people at ease. As horrific as most people think interrogation is, it's really about trust and getting people at ease so they will start opening up to you. And you can see it in people who've been abused or in people who may be boisterous and over the top. You see deviation in that baseline.
I think it's, and I've spent a long time studying mind control for the government, brainwashing stuff. And I think someone who is abused on a regular basis at a young age becomes an expert unconsciously at something called dissociation. And dissociation is common in all mammals that we know of now undergoing something traumatic. A zebra gets bitten by a crocodile. The part of the brain that's conscious and that's basically hitting the record button on memories goes somewhere else. It backs away. So I've noticed over the years, people who have had an experience or many experiences of being abused when they were younger, they dissociate easier, which makes it harder for stressful situations for them to be more self-aware of their own behaviors because of that dissociative process.
What I find ironic is the disassociation right now with your video signal.
Is it slowing
You
down?
kind of keep, you come in and out, and you're talking about disassociation. I'm like, it's an interesting parallel here.
Welcome to my
I'm not
electronics
getting it.
hell today.
Yeah. I'm not getting any of that from Chase.
All right.
Really?
From your end, I think it looked good up from here. Yeah.
Eric, it might be
Okay,
yours.
it's recording.
Yeah, I use it with me.
You got to pay that extra $16 from Verizon.
No, you got to get the space.
Take some of that £4.99 that was paid for
Well, I know.
And he brings it back around.
internet signal.
Good close.
Scott,
Yes.
your thoughts?
Oh, what I've learned from people who've been abused and in those situations, especially when they have a narcissistic parent, those people become extremely good at reading body language and reading human behavior, and they can see as they expect what's going to happen. Narcissists and psychopaths, of course, it's one of my favorite things in the world. But when you talk to someone or you meet someone who's done that, you can almost spot that person by the way they describe other people and the way they say. Women, I always say women have the most powerful secret power in the world, which is women's intuition.
Yep.
And how they can spot somebody watching for 2 minutes and go, I don't like that guy, or I don't like that girl. That girl's trouble. This guy's trouble, whatever it is. But if you'll start paying attention, you may not know a person who has a narcissistic parent. But once you do, you'll say, they sure can spot a lot of this stuff that I'm spotting, if you're in the business we're in. And you'll start noticing that from various other ones as well that or you'll say, once you get to know them, you talk about their parents, or they may be one of those people that are, vocal about it. But I'll tell you, they are powerful grabbers of these big things that tell you something's right, something's not wrong with a person.
I have a question on that too. You mentioned narcissism and all that. Have any of you, and Mark, you're not off the hook on this one either. Any of you notice a difference between single children versus children with siblings? And I'm asking it because typically single children tend to be more selfish focused, if you will, because they've always been on their own since they were a child, so to speak, versus children with siblings tend to say we more or think we more. Have you guys noticed any of that, or would that factor into what you do?
Can I go first here on this, guys, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
People who grew up with a lot of older siblings, especially more than one, are more protective over their personal property. Their phone on the table will be closer to them. Their purse will be closer to them. It'll be zipped up. The handles won't be hung out. It'll be closer, further away from the public. We'll see a lot of that behavior in people with a lot of older siblings. People who are only children, I think that's a phrase,
Yep.
will be a little bit more open and carefree with pieces of property that they have. So how we interact with objects definitely changes. And I think our other behaviors are affected too. And I'll let other people answer that part.
Yeah, I would say, Chase, it depends on birth order, right? If you have a bunch of siblings, you may be the youngest and you're protective of your stuff. So is the oldest, because he has a bunch of little kids around jacking around with his stuff. So right. I think that happens on both extremes. If you're an only child, usually you engage older people in a different fashion than like somebody who is around a lot of kids, has a lot of kid banter, that kind of thing. But if you're an only child, you're mostly around adults, except for when you go out. And there's so many people on my bell curve. There's so many different variables in this. I think it's hard to brand anybody with the same iron. You just have to poke and prod and pick and figure out exactly what causes it.
Mark, Scott?
Yeah, I can't get over that at the moment, Chase. You look like a Jehovah's Witness that might not. It's like, what are you?
Let me tell you what he's doing. Hang on a minute.
About God.
The first ever copy printed of Think and Grow Rich. I thought.
Oh, nice.
Oh, God.
Cool.
I didn't know that.
Very cool.
Is it really? First
is.
edition, huh?
I got to figure out what I'm reading now.
But I concur that certainly I know for like I've got an older sister and a younger brother and sister who are 10 and 13 years younger than me, and certainly like they had to protect their food because if they ever took their eyes off it, it was like that's mine. There wasn't much food in the house, and there was a general pecking order. So yeah, I can totally see. I've never really thought about that. So it's really got my mind thinking, and I don't know where I'd get any hard data on it. But it's an interesting question, interesting area.
Okay, and there's the abuse question, Mark, that you never got to.
What was it that people who have been abused
to the point where they question themselves?
Well, I just concur with what Greg said, which is yes, everybody has a baseline, so you're going to have to go from that. Yeah, I'd concur with that answer.
All right, and Scott,
I don't remember
only
the question.
children.
Chase is messing with you. That's why I keep getting the shits and giggles. What was the question?
Oh, cute. Only children. Have you noticed a difference between only children versus those who have multiple siblings in terms of an only child sometimes being maybe coming off as more narcissistic or more selfish because they've always been independent or on their own? They're thinking of themselves.
I think a lot of times they want to be parts of groups. They want to be a part of a group because they're not used to having a group, and they'll say things, I wish I had a sister, or they'll call people who aren't their sister or their brother. They're more along that, to say my brother's so-and-so or my sister's so-and-so, we're like sisters. They're more apt to say those types of things because they never had those. And a lot of times they are as well good at spotting body language because their mind is wide open at the house. When I grew up, my brother and I had the same room. My sister had her own room. And so we were all the time yammering and talking and stuff. But we had a friend of ours who was an only child, and he was different all the way around because as to children, we really don't give that big a deal. But for some reason, when I was little, I was into watching people's behaviors, and his whole thing was becoming a part of a group and being a part of something. And he could easily figure out how to easily fit into groups. Sometimes you have the same type of a single child where they don't fit into groups because they didn't learn those interactions with family members or as children. So you see that a lot as well. They can't incorporate themselves into a group as well, and that can cause problems later on because they feel lonely. They'll get depressed because they can't get into the groups because they simply don't know how. Especially with a narcissistic parent, it's hard for them because they won't have learned how, and that person wouldn't have helped them to learn how to do that.
Hey, what's your guys' birth order? I've never asked you that.
I'm middle.
Second of 4.
I'm actually first.
Me too. Yep, oldest.
Yeah, I'm
This
the
is
middle. I'm the
interesting.
middle of three.
I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody wrote in all NASA astronauts were firstborn children.
If that's true, that's badass.
That had the twins
Great
do it.
little stat there. I'd like
Well,
to know.
the firstborn kids are often the guys who try to organize everything they come in contact with, just in your nature.
Is nobody
Wait a
seeing
minute.
this stuff with? Hold on a second. Is nobody seeing this shit with Chase?
All the stuff
So-
he's been jacking around.
Yeah, he's been held up different pins as we go along.
Yeah.
And then
Pins,
he's held up
books.
like 9 pins.
Next thing you know, he'll have a firearm or utensil of some kind out.
I think we should tell the people
That's
on the live and then ask them not to comment about it on the YouTube.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let me tell you what he does. If you see me getting the shits and giggles on here, then I'll take my pen and scratch my face with it. Because
Yeah.
every time he holds up a new pen, a different colored pen, then I'll scratch my face with a pen, because to let him know that I know that's what's going on. So and throughout our throughout our videos on our YouTube channel, thebehaviorpanel.com.
yes, check it out.
You'll see him use different. He'll pick up and talk about use different pens as he's talking, and different colored ones as we go through the videos. So, and that's what he's doing now. He's messing with me
Books,
because
video. Yeah. So guys, if you go back and watch our videos, we'll probably one day have a contest. So don't tell anybody.
Don't comment about it. If you're in the live, don't comment about it. That's why I wanted to make it extreme and then like start gesturing with a
see, the only thing I could find was this to be, and I was like, scratch my.
Well, everything
Yes,
close
today.
by me is not appropriate. So.
Ah.
Okay. All right. What kind of image does that conjure? What about
Oh,
adopted
it's not what you
children?
think.
Do you think they carry a lot of trauma? This is from Astro Essex Girl.
Guys, I mean, the problem with making generalities around that is every one of their experiences will have been different, depending on where they come from, adoption, where they're born at birth, separate. There's all kinds of stuff associated with that, and how much love they're given by their parents. Remember, nature and nurture matter, so it's hard to put all that into one thing. I'll tell you, I've been in places, and Chase, I know you have too, where people are separated from their parents because of war, and it's amazing how resilient some people are. They're just, you can't even predict it there. So it's tough to say if a person's separated from their parents and adopted by loving people that they're going to be different. I think it's just tough to call that.
Yeah, we had a guy on my 2 deployments ago, back when I was on active duty. We had one guy that was really fragile, felt really fragile. He was an adopted person, turned out to be a very good gunfighter, for lack of a better term. Had another guy that was a legitimate UFC fighter that urinated on himself the first time he got into a fight. So, I mean, that's not a predictor of future behavior. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And then the situation we find ourselves in, we may be more authoritative or less responsible or concerned with the other person or empathetic based on situation or just based on the day that we've had.
Yep.
So I think making generalities might be a little irresponsible.
Well, to that point, Chase, that's why often personality tests and those kind of categorizations around personality don't impress me very much. They're very much Barnum statements, very much horoscopes, because, put somebody in a different situation and a whole bunch of other behaviors will cascade out that you weren't expecting from that particular personality.
Sorting tool. They're just sorting tools for putting your head around somebody and figuring out how they function. For me, I worked in a stress lab, one of the best on earth, and I watched some of the smartest and toughest people on earth come apart in weird ways. So if you want to know what you're dealing with, put people under high stress. It's amazing what happens. I saw a note I would respond to. Is there a test for keeping psychopaths from becoming general officers? Yes, it's called the Army or the Navy or the Marines, because you get peered out by, that's the whole system, is how you get promoted, is by being ahead of your peers and one of the best. And they can make or break you as well. The military is a very complex organization and culture.
There's a comment here from Lori Miller. Has anyone from your YouTube channel come up to you in public yet?
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, you mean anybody who's been in the no, not to me.
No. I mean, from like any of our YouTube
And
subscribers.
recognize you. Yeah.
Subscribers, yes.
Me too. Where did it happen to you, Mark?
Right, I was on my porch. I was literally sitting on my porch with a glass of wine, and this couple walked by, and the guy goes, and I go, oh, because I think, oh, it's just a local. And he is local, but he recognized me from the show. And he's like, you're on that show, the behavior panel. I'm like, yeah.
Mine happened at
awesome.
Hattie B's.
I
Mine
was
got me.
Delta Sky Lounge in Atlanta Airport at a layover. This is just a few weeks ago, and an older woman had to be in her mid-70s. I had a mask on my face, and she came up to me and she said, "Are you the boy from the behavior show on YouTube?" And man, that was incredible. That even with a mask on in the Delta Lounge.
We had someone find Chase's phone number and call and ask, were we okay? Because we were late with the video last week.
Yes.
That's right.
From Hawaii. Karen was her name, from Hawaii, I think.
From Hawaii. Yes.
Yeah. Mine happened at Hattie B's Hot Chicken. I'd been down. Remember the other day when I said I'd been eating a bunch of hot chicken, and Chase was like, "Do you feel okay, man?" I was like, "Yeah, I haven't eaten a bunch of chicken. I ate too much." Anyway, so that was the day mine happened, when I was sitting in the line, and there was the line outside where they're all, spaced and stuff. But I was sitting in the car because I'd ordered from the phone. They're getting ready to bring it out. I know some talking about me. I thought, well, hope I haven't worked with these people before. Remember me? You'll know what that means. And then some guy goes, "Hey, man." I was like, "Yeah, here we go." He goes, "I saw your show, the behavior panel." I was like, "That's great, man. That's great. He goes, "When's the next one coming out?" I said, Thursday, every Thursday." I said, yeah.
Well, I'm a car guy, and I had the same thing. I went in to get something done to my car, and the guys in the place were looking at me, and they said, "Hey, we watch true crime all the time on TV, and aren't you that?" Yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Right. It's great.
Wow. I'm with four very, very famous.
I think she could tell who you were just from how smooth the skin was on your forehead.
I think so too. It's his eyes.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know.
What
I know.
Austin pen was the pen.
It's probably
All right, we've got a comment from May Britt Muller. When I was between 4 and 7, I was apparently excellent. I guess you know. I was apparently excellent at spotting bad men. No abuse apart from being a woman. Is it very normal for children to have a great radar?
Depends on the child.
Yes. Yeah, I really do. I think we come equipped with a lot of things that get knocked out of us, because when you're a child, man, you're wide open. You're just like boom, and everything that comes in, and you pay attention. People don't pay attention to you as a child, because mine started as a child, and I remember thinking about what I was seeing in these people. And if your parents are talking to someone, or an older person talking to someone, and somebody comes in and speaks with them, they will ignore you and think that they can. Not that they can ignore you and do whatever they want, but they don't really focus on being that person that they're bringing to your parents or someone else in front of you. And I think that's potent. I think a lot of times we're wide open as children.
I think it depends on the person, though, because plenty of children get into bad situations because they're poor judges of character. So it depends on the person. I think if you have a natural talent for it, it's much stronger when you're young. I always say we all are born capable of reading body language. We turn it off to be polite.
That's right. And I think as kids, the reason kids are so good at it is when we grow up, we're social animals. Kids are not social animals. Yeah. Kids are in front of their eyes in a conversation, and we spend our lives behind our eyes in a conversation.
Yeah, kids only get that social part. The social mammalian brain really starts kicking in, quite late, really kind of, 6 to 8. Yes. Sometimes even later with some. So, for everybody out there who maybe has had a kid and seen them develop, there's a period where they are just sociopaths. I know that's maybe not the right term, but ultimately
they learn empathy.
They develop it. Anything else?
Me.
Anything else? My voice down because I'm going to talk about my daughter. It wasn't really until the age of about above 8, maybe even 9, that she was able to keep a deal. You do a deal with her. You go, well, if I give you this, then you will do this. Yeah, absolutely. So you do it, and you go, so will you do the thing? She's like, no. But we made a deal. No, I'm not doing it. You're breaking. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
And then I go.
Sounds like a politician.
Yeah. There'll be a problem next time we come to make a deal. I won't be able to trust you. And she'd go, I don't care.
We'll deal with that next time, right?
Like you could not negotiate with her because the social part of the brain had not really developed enough to go, oh, you actually need that other person. You need to make deals with them and keep deals with them. Hadn't kicked in. And of course, because, I love her, I wasn't retracting food resource and heat and, there was no penalty for being antisocial. So
wow, you're thinking way into that, Mark. We talked about.
I think he's projecting that we
I'd like to ask you
probably
some
would.
questions.
All right, your thoughts, Scott?
I don't even remember the question. I'm too busy waiting for
I think
Chase
he
to do something.
started that one. It was, are they more perceptive? Do they have the ability?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you did. I'm sorry. All right, this one's got to be for Chase. He can hold up a pen. Kevin Walker again. Any thoughts on the police/military using hypnosis to obtain information and its reliability?
Okay, I'll give you a short answer here. Thoughts on the police using hypnosis to obtain information. Hypnosis, the veracity of hypnosis is 100% dependent on the operator, the person doing the hypnosis. False memories can be created in as little as 20 seconds. And if you think about a false memory of your 10th birthday, if I put a giant T-Rex, a 3-foot tall plastic T-Rex statue at your 3rd birthday party or 10th birthday party, that false memory, when you go back next time and look at it, it's a memory. It's a fact. So those things can be very, very influential when it comes to memory retrieval. Hypnotically retrieved memory is not admissible in court, but it can be very useful to get details of a crime scene from witnesses and from people who knew details about maybe the crime scene or the area that it happened, but it's typically never and in good measure, it's not used with suspect memory retrieval. It's typically used with other people's memory retrieval. And as far as hypnosis and interrogation, that's a completely different subject that I will absolutely not even touch tonight.
Interestingly, you don't need to hypnotize most people to improve their memory. Good, solid questioning improves memory. So interrogators in the operations world are also debriefers. And what that means is when you come back from a mission, we ask you questions about where you were, sometimes to get information that you might not even notice. And I'll say, for example, hey, how many green diamonds did you see in the building you're in? None. Then I walk you down the hall, have you tell me what you saw? Oh yeah, I saw a green diamond on that door. Questioning is a powerful tool because it structures a way for people to recover information.
Yep, behavioral interviewing.
All right.
Yeah.
Scott.
Uh-oh. That one? I don't know anything about hypnotizing. I don't know.
All right.
I got nothing. I got nothing on that.
All right.
The only thing I do, sometimes I question Chase's ability to do that, or not his ability, but when he's doing it, because I don't know if you guys are doing this too, but like twice a day, I send him $40 on Venmo. Is
that's just you?
Is it just okay?
I don't know about that, and I have the audio recording, so it's fine.
Yeah, I saw a really good question on there about drugs in interrogation. Lots of experiments with that in the 60s and 70s. Lots of it. And what we do know is lowering your inhibitions is good. A good drink is a great opportunity to get people to talk. That's one of the things you know. Too much alcohol, yeah, then you start running stuff together. But I think, Scott, you gave me a bottle one time that says truth serum on it for scotch. It's exactly one of the best truth serums there is.
It's true. This then would be a good one to start with Scott on. Professional HR person with imposter syndrome and extreme interview anxiety. I'm qualified but can't cope. Any tips? This is Garden Witch.
I can jump on this.
I was going to say, let's go to Chase because we've talked about this with Chase in depth for about 3 weeks now.
And I'm an open book. I'm the same person off camera as I am on YouTube. I'm no different. I consulted their help the other day. I just finished doing an article for Vogue magazine. I was just called by, I don't know if I could say his name yet, but the #1 TV personality in America called us the best in the world. And imposter syndrome is still there. I think for most of us, I won't speak for the panel, but I think for a lot of people, it stays for a long time. I've well past the 20, maybe 25,000 hour mark in my profession. And I still get up on stage and think, do I know enough to be standing here? And that's up to you to decide at the end of the day. I published the #1 best-selling book in my field, and I have all these things that prove to me or might prove to someone else that I'm the credible expert, maybe the leading expert in the world even. And still I feel, is there something else I should have done before speaking to these people, or should I be on this stage? And I still feel that way to this day. So I think it's a natural thing. And I think you just got to get over it and say that it's okay. If you're delivering value, you're delivering value from Garden Witch. So that was the most exposed I've ever been on YouTube.
I think I'm going to cry.
Hey, I have imposter syndrome right now, just being in your presence.
No, I think a lot of people get that. I think it's natural because when you're really passionate about something, it means, and you realize that it means more to you than a lot of the people you're dealing with in that business. Then you go, "What? I can't believe I sold more of these records or whatever it is than this guy did." You know, you got to be kidding me. And they hand you a big old thing with like 5 of these platinum records on it, and you go, holy smokes. And you're watching everybody, and they give you yours too in the little ceremony thing. You're like, holy, I shouldn't be here. For me, it didn't last that long in that business because everybody, because of that business or the music business. But once that starts happening, after a while you get used to it. And I think you'll get past it. But especially when you start getting a whole lot of heat at once, when you've done some things, then all of a sudden, bam, a bunch of stuff comes on. You go, they're going to find out that I'm fake. They're going to know. They're going to know I'm not fake. I went through that when I was a kid too, Chase. So I
guarantee you, every one of us has been through that. And as I said, the same, Chase, especially in this business where you can be here and not have gone to school X or Y. I mean, yeah, if you go punch your ticket at an Ivy League school, you know what you've gotten. But when you get here to this business, the way you get here to this business, it's probably more imposter syndrome issues with us than there's any other. And then the last thing I will say is it's a good sign that you're having that, because malignant narcissists don't have that.
I literally just an hour and a half ago, I got off the call with I think the second highest paid female actress in America, still has the same syndrome.
Yeah.
She's at the top of the food chain as far as that is concerned, and still has the same exact syndrome.
Yeah, so I work constantly with people who are what I would call high performers, top performers, and they all have imposter syndrome. And that would include people who literally have gold medals. Like it's unequivocal that they are the fastest or jump the highest, or it's like you've got a gold medal. It's like, yeah, but I'm worried that people, will question that. You can't. It's a gold medal. You can't question it. It's only you have it for that event that every 4 years, So I think it's usually quite a good sign of a top performer, somebody who cares so much about being good and being invested in it that they're constantly worried that they don't know enough. That's a good thing.
Are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that ties
my first book by talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect. Yeah.
We love talking about it.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. We see people go, yep, there it is. You want a poster? We can give you one.
How about Gel Man amnesia while we're throwing them out there?
Don't know.
Is that the name of somebody?
Murray Gell-Mann came up with it. Michael Crichton brought it up a lot. What that is you guys are all experts in your field, right? And you'll read an article, let's say in the paper, and you'd be like, these people have it completely wrong. They're idiots. They don't know what they're talking about, whatever your expertise is. But then you read another article and you don't know the subject. You're like, how dare such and such do such and such? Because you have amnesia about the fact you already know that the people who are writing the articles are idiots, or they may be getting their facts wrong, but you forget about it and don't apply that same principle to other articles that aren't on a subject you necessarily know. That's the amnesia.
Lack of frame of reference. Yeah.
So, because we have a habit of doing that. I mean, we know people are wrong. And I'm going to close out with one more. I know that Scott, I think, has a hard out, and I think this is a great one to finish on.
Got to get out and get that chicken. He loves his chicken, does Scott?
Yeah, he does.
He loves his chicken.
Cindy Callahan. How do we follow our instincts and remain socially appropriate in both of our private and professional lives?
Don't.
I think we started with this one. The same advice we gave the politicians. Use your instinct, but take a second, be compassionate, pay attention to the other person. I mean, if you do that, you can still use all this stuff. All of us have to do this in daily life. We all see body language that screams, hey, this guy's an idiot, but we don't say,
You're an idiot.
we just back down. And if you wait long, if somebody's an idiot in your life, if you wait long enough, they'll have a billboard around their neck.
Mhm.
It'll happen. So don't worry about it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah,
There's a
social mammalian part of our brain which moderates our instinctual behaviors. And if that moderation hasn't been socially primed, or it's not working properly, you've got somebody who is antisocial, and it can suddenly burst out, or they're just antisocial all the time, and it's just a weird person to be around. And sometimes, you drink enough or you take some drugs, and that moderator will, and it's like, now you're doing weird, naughty stuff. So we've got a whole system for this. We have instincts and we have moderators of those instincts, and you would never want your instinct to take over all your behavior. It would be mayhem, especially if your testosterone or estrogen levels were up. Imagine one of my kids who their testosterone or estrogen levels are all over the place at the moment, and they hadn't got a good moderator. They would be ripping the place apart at the moment. As it is, they're just kind of breaking it lightly. But without that moderating brain, they'd be tearing the place up. So we moderate all the time.
Hey, somebody asked if we'd be open to having Judy James on the panel. Do any of you guys know her personally?
I don't know her personally, no. Judy James is I think the English lady who writes, I think, for the Daily Mail on.
Oh, so we know that Mark's down for this. Have another Brit.
It's two in
see what's happening.
You never want two in the room. They'll start wanting your country back, and
It's going to be a coup.
Yeah,
It's going to be a coup. Behavior coup.
They didn't even want him back. They put him in Canada.
well, we know what happens.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, just
Thank you guys for listening to us today.
Oh, there you go. Well, folks, this has been really wonderful, and I want to get you guys to commit on the camera. You coming back?
Always.
yeah.
Great fun.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric.
You don't have to ask us. We'll whatever you need.
Awesome. Well, I plan to have everybody back in any which way, and everybody smash the like, whatever that,
Sure.
please hit subscribe. Thank you. Thank everybody for coming, and we'll see you next time.